Imagine walking through a mighty city, alive with markets, music, and towering temples. And then, suddenly, it's gone. The streets are silent. The people have vanished. Only broken stones and whispers of the past remain. Throughout history, entire civilizations, great and powerful, have disappeared without a trace. Tonight, we explore the strange mysteries of these lost worlds, from the jungle cities of the Maya to the silent statues of Easter Island. So get comfortable, close your eyes, and let the mysteries of the past guide you gently into sleep. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a great city. The air is alive with sound. The calls of merchants selling spices and cloth. The laughter of children chasing each other through stone streets. The distant echo of drums from a temple ceremony. Tall structures rise above you, built with such precision that they seem as permanent as the mountains themselves. These walls, these roads, these monuments, they feel eternal. And yet, suddenly, centuries pass. You return to the same place, and the life has vanished. The markets are gone. The houses stand hollow, roofs collapsed, streets overtaken by plants and silence. The drums have stopped beating. The laughter of children has melted into the air. What was once alive is now a ghost, frozen in time. This is not just imagination. Throughout history, entire civilizations, whole cultures filled with knowledge, art, language, and identity have disappeared. Some collapsed in fire and conquest, while others simply faded, as if the earth itself swallowed them whole. What they left behind are ruins, fragments of pottery, broken statues, and puzzles carved in stone. But perhaps the greatest mystery is not what they built, but why they vanished. When we look at their remains, we feel two emotions at once: awe at what they achieved and wonder at how easily it all slipped away. Take a moment and breathe slowly. Picture yourself walking through an empty temple, the pillars still standing tall but covered with vines. Your footsteps echo against the stone. Dust floats in the air like soft golden mist. The silence is so deep you can hear your own breath. It's as if time itself paused. For many of these civilizations, we have only questions. Why did the Maya abandon their massive cities in the jungles of Central America? How did the advanced Indus Valley people, with their straight streets and running water, disappear without leaving behind kings, battles, or even written records we can read? Why did the builders of Easter Island stop carving their giant statues, leaving them standing like lonely guardians by the shore? It is tempting to think that civilizations are permanent, that once something is built, it lasts forever. But history whispers a different story. Civilizations are fragile, like sandcastles. A wave can come from anywhere: a change in climate, a war, a shortage of food, a disease, or sometimes just the slow erosion of time. And yet, there's beauty in this fragility. Because even though these civilizations vanished, they left traces. They remind us that humans have always dreamed big, built strong, and reached for the stars, even if the stars seemed too far. Their disappearance is not only a mystery, but also an invitation for us to imagine, to picture their lives, their struggles, their triumphs, to feel, for a moment, what it was like to live in a world that no longer exists. As you listen, let these images sink deeper. Giant stone pyramids hidden under thick jungle, Wide brick streets lying quietly under layers of dust, statues staring endlessly at the horizon of the sea. These are not just ruins. They are echoes, echoes of people who once lived, loved, dreamed, and disappeared. And tonight, as you drift into rest, we will follow these echoes. We will walk through their forgotten streets. We will sit beside their empty fires, and we will listen, not to solve the mysteries, but to let them soothe us in a quiet wonder. Because sometimes, the greatest stories are the ones that end in silence. Picture a vast jungle, green, endless, alive with the calls of birds and the hum of insects. Hidden beneath this thick canopy, for centuries, lay one of the most advanced civilizations the world has ever known, the Maya. They were astronomers, mathematicians, architects, and artists. They carved entire histories into stone. They built cities so grand, with pyramids reaching high into the sky, that you could stand at the base and feel as though you were staring at a mountain created by human hands. The Maya civilization stretched across modern-day Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. At their height, they numbered in the millions, their cities shining with plazas, temples, and observatories. They charted the stars with such precision that they predicted eclipses and mapped celestial cycles long before telescopes were invented. Their calendar, misunderstood in modern times as predicting the end of the world, was in truth a profound system of timekeeping that reflected their connection to the universe. And yet, for reasons still not entirely known, their great cities began to fall silent around the year 900 AD. Entire metropolises like Tikal, Copan, and Palenque, once alive with chants, markets, and ceremonies, were abandoned. The jungle crept in, swallowing temples with vines, covering plazas with moss. When the Spanish arrived centuries later, they found scattered Maya villages, but no trace of the magnificent cities that once ruled the land. What happened? Scholars offer many theories. Some believe a long and terrible drought dried rivers and crops, forcing people to leave in search of survival. Others suggest that constant wars between rival Maya kingdoms weakened their power and drained their resources. Perhaps disease struck. Perhaps the soil was exhausted by farming, leaving nothing to grow. But here is the most haunting truth. No single answer explains it all. The collapse was likely a combination of many small storms that together became too much to bear. Today, when you walk among the ruins, you hear the sound of the jungle reclaiming its land. The cry of a howler monkey echoes through the trees. Birds dart across the sky above temple tops. Roots crack through ancient stone. And in this strange silence, you can almost hear the whispers of the people who once lived there. The Maya did not disappear completely. Their descendants live on, speaking Maya languages, practicing traditions, and carrying the memory of their ancestors. But the great cities, the grand ceremonial centers, remain only as ruins. Silent, still, and full of unanswered questions. It's this silence that captures the imagination. How could a people so advanced, so skilled, vanish from their cities almost overnight? As you drift deeper into rest, imagine walking through those empty plazas at dusk, the pyramids glowing gold in the last light of the sun. Imagine hearing distant drums that are no longer there. The Maya remind us that greatness can fade, and yet leave behind beauty that endures in stone. Now let's travel back in time, more than 4,000 years, to the fertile lands of the Indus River. Here, in what is now Pakistan and northwest India, thrived a civilization so advanced it seems like a dream. While much of the world was living in scattered tribes, the Indus Valley people built cities with order, balance, and vision. Imagine wide streets laid out like a grid, with brick houses neatly aligned. Imagine wells in every neighborhood, public baths for the community, and sewage systems hidden beneath the ground. Technology so impressive that parts of it would not be seen again until modern times. This was not chaos. This was urban planning in its earliest and purest form. Cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro shined as jewels of human achievement. Their people were skilled artisans. They carved intricate seals with images of animals and symbols, many of which we still cannot fully read. They made delicate jewelry, painted pottery, and toys for children. They farmed the land, traded with Mesopotamia, and lived in communities that seemed to have valued equality more than kingship, for no great palaces or monuments have been found, only the quiet evidence of daily life. And then, like so many civilizations, the light began to fade. Around 1900 BC, the Indus Valley cities started to decline. Houses were abandoned. Streets fell silent. Slowly, the civilization that had thrived for centuries disappeared. The reasons remain uncertain. Some believe climate change played a role. Shifting rivers may have dried their water supply or flooded their fields. Others think over-farming or deforestation weakened the land. Still others point to the possibility of invasions by migrating tribes. Yet no single explanation fully satisfies. The mystery deepens because we cannot yet read their writing. Small symbols carved into seals are believed to be their script, but despite decades of study, scholars have not cracked the code. Without their words, their voices remain hidden from us. It's as if they left behind a locked diary of their world, and we hold the book but cannot yet open its pages. Walk through the ruins of Mohenjo-daro today, and you see orderly streets stretching into the horizon, walls and wells still standing after thousands of years. The silence feels heavy, not empty, as though the city is waiting patiently for someone to remember its story. As you drift with this thought, imagine the people who once lived here. Children playing with clay toys, merchants selling grain in the market, families gathering near the wells to fetch water. Their lives were ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. And though their civilization faded, their spirit endures in the very bricks they left behind. Far across the Pacific Ocean lies a tiny, windswept island known as Rapa Nui or Easter Island. It is one of the most remote inhabited places on Earth, surrounded by thousands of miles of sea. And yet, here, a small population carved some of the most extraordinary monuments the world has ever seen, the Moai statues. Imagine these giant figures, tall, solemn faces carved from volcanic rock, some more than 30 feet high and weighing over 80 tons. They stand silently, gazing inland or out to the sea, their expressions calm, mysterious, eternal. For centuries, the Rapa Nui people labored to create and move these giants, using only stone tools and wooden rollers. How they did it still sparks debate, but what matters is that they did, and in doing so, they left a legacy that defies imagination. But the story of Easter Island is not just about creation, it is also about disappearance. When Europeans arrived in the 1700s, they found a society that had collapsed. The forests were gone, the population had shrunk, and many of the statues stood unfinished or toppled. What happened? One theory is that the people cut down too many trees to transport the statues, leaving the land bare and unable to support life. Without wood, They could not build canoes to fish or protect their soil from erosion. Some believe civil wars broke out between rival clans, each competing to build bigger statues. Others point to diseases and slave raids brought by outsiders that devastated the remaining population. Whatever the cause, the island tells a haunting story. A people who reached great heights, only to fall into decline. And yet, the Moai remain, standing silently like guardians of memory. Today, visitors walk among these statues and feel a strange mix of awe and sorrow. The statues are beautiful, but they also ask a question. Why do civilizations push themselves to such limits? And what happens when ambition meets the edge of survival? As you rest, picture yourself on this island. The ocean stretches endlessly in every direction. The wind brushes your skin. And in the fading light of sunset, the statues cast long shadows across the grass. They are silent, but they speak. They remind us that human achievement is powerful, but also fragile. Across the world, from the jungles of Central America to the valleys of South Asia, from the remote Pacific islands to the deserts of Africa, one theme echoes again and again. Civilizations rise, flourish, and then vanish. The ruins remain, but the people are gone. What unites them all is not only their disappearance, but the mystery that follows. Why did the Maya abandon their cities? Why did the Indus Valley leave no kings or palaces? Why did the people of Easter Island stop carving their statues? These questions have no simple answers, and perhaps that is why they fascinate us so deeply. But behind the mystery lies a truth. Civilizations are not unbreakable. They depend on balance, with nature, with resources, with one another. When that balance breaks, even the greatest societies can fall. Climate, war, disease, or simply the slow turning of time. These forces can bring silence to even the mightiest voices. And yet, their stories live on. Every ruin is a reminder. Every statue, every brick, every carving whispers, "We were here. We lived. We dreamed. We built." They teach us humility, that nothing lasts forever. But they also inspire us, that even in disappearance, beauty remains. As you prepare to drift deeper into sleep, imagine these images once more. Towering pyramids hidden under jungle leaves, neat brick streets stretching through silent valleys, giant statues gazing endlessly at the sea. Let these pictures carry you into dreams, where the lost civilizations rise again, alive in the theater of your imagination. And remember, though they vanished, they never truly disappeared. For as long as we remember them, as long as we tell their stories, their spirit lives on. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the mysteries of ancient civilizations. If you enjoyed this story and would like to hear more relaxing history tales, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more peaceful journeys to life. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you in the next story.